What's up, YouTube? That was nice that you started the video with a smile. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to our channel. Thank you guys for watching our videos. We are at 336 subscribers. We have a goal to get to 1K subscribers by the end of this year. Please keep sharing, keep watching, and keep interacting in the comment section. Our last video didn't do great.
Well, that's okay.
That's okay. Sometimes you do good, sometimes you do bad. That's how life is.
So we don't do it for the views. We do it because it's fun.
Exactly. We do this because we just want to document our journey
Yeah.
of how things are going
And like my progress of
learning Luganda and just
more of just
for
a fun thing for us. Of
yeah.
course the views and people are fun too, but more
Yeah,
just for us.
we would be grateful if we can get to 1K where we could monetize our videos, but we are here for the journey.
Yeah.
We love the process. Anyway, thank you for being here on the show, baby, again.
Well, always.
Today we're gonna start the show a little bit different. I want us to talk about the things, the perception of what was painted to you when you were a kid about Africa before you met me,
Yes.
and what you know now. We'll talk about that after you've told me a couple of the things that.
So when I was in elementary, middle, and high school, so all the way until I graduated high school, Africa was really taught that it was a very poor continent.
Mhm.
A lot of the times it was spoken as just Africa. There was never really any.
Breakdown of countries. So you
Yes.
thought Africa is a country.
I mean, I knew it was a continent and I knew it had countries in it, but it was always referred to just as one big thing.
So for those who didn't know, they probably assumed Africa is just one huge country.
Basically.
What a shame.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when we're taught about Africa in school,
Hmm.
the main things that are taught is the slave trade.
Hmm.
That's about it.
Yeah, the slave trade.
And what was that?
Your ancestors were whooping my people's ass.
Yeah. But the main things that were taught were about the slave trade. We never really delved into anything about the countries within Africa. We heard a couple things about like the major wars that went on. That was about it. And I did have a little bit of knowledge about the different countries within Africa because my freshman year of college, I did take a class that was like history of Africa. And
I'm curious what you learned in that.
I've told you about this.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So,
Yes, you told me you learned about the history, but I've never asked you what exactly did you learn.
well, because I don't exactly remember.
Okay, that makes sense because you don't really take us serious, do you? Like when you, I promise you, I know you were biased when you were studying about Africa. You didn't really care, did you?
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, but you didn't really care. Interesting and caring is different. I know. But yeah,
Wait, pause. Interesting and caring is different. Yet, when I say I think that drama is interesting, you say, why do you care? And I say, I don't care. I think
well,
it's interesting. And you try to say that they're the same thing, but you just said that they're not. So, what now?
no, you care, and it is interesting to you at the same time.
No, I don't care about the drama.
You do. That's what
I
you want to know.
don't. I just think it's interesting.
You just say you don't, but you do.
I really don't.
Because if I stop you and then you start itching to know what happened, that is what is interesting.
Yes,
That
it's
is
interesting,
because you care about it.
No.
Because when someone stopped you, you still feel like you want to know.
I don't care. I just think it's interesting.
Oh, okay. We're gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna go.
Okay.
But I can tell you a few things about Africa. Africa is a very beautiful place. Yes, some parts of the continent are very poor.
There is a picture that circulates every once in a while, and it is basically how America sees Africa as a continent. And the picture depicts like a little African child in scraps, looks malnourished, which is also something that is depicted to Americans. There are commercials on TV all the time that show like malnourished children in Africa. Never really say the country, they just say Africa, which is why a lot of the times we just say Africa and refer to it as Africa. But it's like, with your support of $30 a month, you can feed these children.
Yeah, I hate that. To be honest, I hate America's perspective of Africa.
Yes.
Um,
Hang on, let me tell you about the picture that I was saying. The picture was the little kid. It's a drawing, so it's not like a real picture, but it's about a little kid in like scraps, basically, that looks super malnourished, and then it's on top of the continent of Africa, and then the continent is like cut in half, and it has like all of these jewels
mhm.
coming out of it. So basically, like, while the people are starving, they're sitting on all of this like richness and goodness, money, but they're just super poor, which is what's depicted to Americans.
Okay. I'm gonna make a few contrary statements.
Contradictory?
Contradictory statements, and contrary is the same thing.
Contrary?
Like
Contradictory?
contradictory, whatever that English word is. English is not my first language. One, Africa is blessed. When I say Africa is blessed, it's really blessed in terms of like natural resources, minerals, gas, gold, silver, diamond. Like the world's gold, greatest gold comes from Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Africa. And the world's finest diamonds come from Botswana. So Africa is blessed naturally, but we do not have equipments that process those natural resources. That is where the white man comes in and goes in Africa, buys the resources cheaply or exploits them for barely nothing, comes to America or wherever Europe, processes them, sells the uh, finished product for billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That's number two. Now, yes, there are some parts of every country in Africa that has poor people, like people who live below the poverty line.
But the thing
You know?
is that there are people that live in America that I would argue that live worse than
Oh yeah, a
some of
hundred
the
percent,
people
a
like
hundred
back
percent, and
home.
people don't know that. Like I tell this to people, in every country, there are good parts of the country, there are bad parts of the country. There are people who are poor, there are people who are rich. Even here in America, the standard that we live, there's some people here in America, they dream to live the life we live.
Yeah.
And I'm not from here, and I'm not showing off because everything I got, I work hard to get to where I am.
Yes.
I come from a humble beginning. When I say humble, it's like really, really. There were days that I didn't know whether I would have dinner or not. The days that I didn't know whether I'm going to have lunch. But one thing that is very different in Africa is we're grateful for just being alive. In America, people have a mentality of somebody owes them something. They're not
Yes.
supposed to be in the position they are. Well, the difference between Africans is that we embrace where we are, but with an aim to be somewhere. That becomes your entire life goal to get yourself out of that position you are.
Yeah.
I was born in the ghetto, and I'm not saying this to glorify the ghetto. I'm just saying this because I want the people who are out there who watch this video to know that it doesn't really matter where you are in life. What is most important is the goals you set and what you do to achieve those goals. Because there are people that I grew up with that who are in this, they're still in the same situation that we were in when we were still like 10, 9, 8, 12, 15. You remember the video that we were watching last night about caddies pushing
Yeah.
a golf cart and they were caddying for people? I used to be, those guys that I showed you,
Mhm.
all of them, I caddied with them. They're probably about my age. But they were complacent of that daily income of making maybe $5 a day, making maybe, $10 a round of golf. And they are focused about making that money, and they ended up, having kids and giving up on school and stuff like that. I was in the same shoes. I just decided to play it different. I decided to commit myself to education. I wasn't the smartest, though I wasn't dumb, I was smart, but I was never the smartest. But I knew if I put my mind to something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
It was never a dream for me to play golf. Even right now that I play professionally, it was not my dream to play. Like, I just did it because it was a challenging sport and I wanted to be good at it. And then over time, because I'm working hard, because I'm tired of my friends beating me, I became good at it. You know,
Yeah.
I made it to the national level, and then I made it to a point where I can get a college scholarship out of it.
Yeah.
You know, so one thing leads to the other, and that's what I don't see here in America. Number two, what I want to say about Americans are very arrogant and illiterate about Africa, and they are
Yes.
not willing to learn. They think how they think is the right way. That is how Africa is, which is totally wrong.
Yes.
And for the record, any African that comes to America probably knows more than what an American would assume. Because you see how it scares you that when you think about you going to Africa? Imagine us taking that change in chance to come to America. A place it's a fast world country, a place that everything is different. It snows. Like I come from where it never snows. The cold and all that, but you still embrace the challenge and come and succeed.
Yeah.
And come here and succeed. So yeah, those are the few things I wanted to talk about Americans. But yeah, on the contrary, what do you think that I said wrong about what I said?
I mean, all of it's valid. Like when, pardon me, majority of Americans' perception of Africa is that it's always hot, everybody's always poor.
Right,
There are lions, tigers, bears, all this wildlife that you just happen upon every day. That access to medical care is like non-existent. If you get sick, like if you go visit over there, there's a lot of mission trips to Africa because I think it's called like the white man syndrome or something. White savior complex, that's what it is. Where white people think that they need to go save everybody in Africa because everybody's just doing so terribly over there.
yeah, I would say though there's some true statements that you just made about healthcare. And I forgot what was the
Well,
other
like
thing.
some of the mission trips that a lot of Americans go on to Africa, they are doing decent work. They're like building schools, they're like building
Right,
wells, like those kinds of things. They are good, but the thing is that they go to like the rural, probably like the
right,
villages,
right, right,
which just because they don't have those things doesn't mean that they necessarily need them to survive.
right. They don't live terrible as it is portrayed.
Yes, Americans just think that everybody in Africa is malnourished, sick, dying, and needs them to come save them and doesn't know Jesus. Which the funny thing is that a lot a lot of y'all already have some kind of religion. A lot of y'all are already either Christian or like Muslim.
Yeah, I mean, we Africans. I don't think the Africa's problem is religion. I mean, now it is, but I don't think we need religion to survive because our ancestors had faith that they believed in. We had things that we believed in, things that we worshipped, that our people for generations and for years
Yeah.
worshipped and honored and lived by the principle. So Christianity just came in. We have a popular saying in Africa that says, well, let me speak on behalf of Uganda. That says that the white man came with the Bible and took our land and gold and left us with Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, uh, going back to the point that you had made, that healthcare, yeah, like in my village, and I want to. This is what a life goal of mine. Uh, when we get settled and all that, I would want to go and build a borehole.
Is that the well?
Yeah, but pumped.
Yeah, the pump well.
Yeah, I'll go and build a borehole and maybe contribute with a few of my um, fellow youth who are a little bit successful, like in my position, to build like a healthcare or clinic. But
Mhm.
because the nearest hospital or healthcare where they would get immediate um, first aid help is 10 kilometers away from uh, my village. Like now, my village is called Rhino Camp. It's in the northern part of Uganda where my mom comes from. But imagine if someone has a severe sickness. It's not like people have cars out there. They are mostly people ride bicycles. Now imagine you're sick and you can't even sit on the bike. By the time the ambulance comes for you to come and pick you, 10 kilometers, and it's not like they have medicine in there. And now, when it comes to medicine, that's a corruption part. It's not like the government, the government officials are corrupt. So the medicine doesn't reach the rural areas. The money they send for the people who are responsible to buy the medicine, guess what?
They keep it.
They keep it and use it for their own family and stomach. So I don't want to get into that because I don't have factual proof, but it's something that happens. It's something that happened when I'm there. I saw it firsthand, and
Yeah. So, like, of course, there are bad things that go on, or some of the perceptions that we have of Africa as a whole is correct. Also, something that, like, is not taught, a lot of Americans, including myself, don't realize that Egypt is in Africa.
where did you? Hold on. Where did you guys think that Egypt was?
Where Iran, Iraq.
God, Jesus. Well, before I forget this, you say something about weather. I
Yeah.
feel very much offended every time they ask me, "Oh, you have an accent. Where are you from?" And then I say Uganda, and then the first thing they say, "Oh, it must be hot out there." Like, what the hell? This is the hottest country I've ever lived in.
It's because we are taught that at the equator, you're the closest point to the sun,
The,
so it's going
the
to be hotter.
equator is the 0 degrees of the earth. It's like, think about it. This is when you're the equator is where you're in the middle of the world because it's the only place. And I'll take you when we go to Uganda. You go to the equator line where you water can flow upward. It's hard to put in perception, but you will see it when you go.
Okay.
But because we are on the equator, we have one of the best weathers in the world. Like literally every time I've checked the weather back home, it's in the 60s and 70s, right? Every time like I Googled, and I've always told people the hottest it gets in Uganda is 80 degrees. I lived in Florida, it was like 100 plus in the summer.
Yeah, but also the humidity.
And back home, we don't have the humidity. It's a cool breeze because of the lake and the river. We have the Nile River and Lake Victoria. Now, the city or the state that I come from is the coolest state ever because
Mhm.
it's on the lake. The temperatures over there are 65. It doesn't even get hot. Our hot season is 75 degrees.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I feel offended when people say, "Oh, it must be." No,
Because that's what we're taught.
I know, but you cannot. Some of the people, they're not taught that. That's what they assume. Most people use assumptions. But now I'm gonna say this: there are some parts of Africa that are very hot. True. When I went to Egypt, I got burned to the point where my skin was peeling.
That had never
You
happened
know.
before.
So yeah, I went to Egypt and it was extremely hot. We would wake up in the morning 6 a.m. and it would be 100 degrees.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And my phone would just show like you know how the weather shows blue on the weather up. It
Mhm.
would show red, and it would say danger. Stop! Don't like the humidity is too high. Don't be outside. And yet I had to play golf tournament.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean we can talk about golf. I mean not golf. We can talk about Africa all day.
Yeah.
Um,
But those are some of the perceptions that, as an American growing up, going to public American schools, that we are taught about Africa. Clearly, they're not very accurate, and yeah,
yeah, and shout out to your mom. And because of that, your mom actually, her mom is a teacher.
yeah,
She brought me in one of our classes to talk about Africa, and I did my little research. I found a nice video out there on YouTube that was showing the things and the good things about Africa, and I went there and explained to the kids. They loved it. So
yeah,
that's one way to change the perspective of how kids view Africa and what is taught.
yeah.
You know.
Because also, like, before my class and before obviously dating you, I thought, and a lot of other Americans also think, that when they think of Africa, they think of like the villages, the tribes. We don't think that like there are cities. And so when we see somebody on social media from Africa, whatever country they're from, having a phone, we're like, how did they get a phone? Where did they get electricity?
I'm so excited for your trip because you're gonna be
I am
shocked.
too.
You're gonna be changed as a person.
I'm very excited.
Um, yeah. So to be honest, the people who live in the villages, to some extent, depending on what you look at, live a better life. Now, I was born in the city.
Yeah.
I was born in the city, but I spent most of my holidays with my grandfather in the villages. But when I was in the village, that was the only place where I didn't feel like I was lacking anything to eat because food was just found.
Yeah.
If I wanted to drink milk, I would go and milk the cow. If I wanted to eat the meat, there was goats to get the meat from. If I wanted to eat chicken, there was chicken. If I like everything was just right there.
Yeah.
Whereas in the city, my mom, we were renting. We lived in an apartment. We didn't
Yeah.
have land to grow stuff, and so everything we would buy, grocery was expensive. So to some extent, I was lucky. You know? So
Yeah.
it all depends on what you see. But also in the city, it was good schools, good healthcare, electricity, running water, and stuff like that, which was not in the village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it really truly is all about perspective. Mom and I were talking about this when we first started dating, that, like we've mentioned, majority of the video is that a lot of Americans think that Africa as a country is lacking in the things that we consider like standard. But like, I mean, I know at least for like your family that's in the village, like they're they're good.
Oh yeah, they're good.
They're fine.
Yeah,
Like,
they get food from the garden.
they choose to live there. They don't feel that they're lacking anything. They have food, they have shelter, they have family.
Yeah.
Like,
My mom has been living in the city because I was born in the city. So my mom moved
right.
from the village and came to the city like 40 years ago. In the 40 years my mom has been in the city, my grandmother only visited her once, and that was back in 2006 or 4. That was it.
Bless.
Even like I was still convincing my mom to come back with her to come and have some rest in the city. She said, "I
Yes.
don't need anything in the city. I'm good here."
That's so
You
precious.
get what I'm saying? So it's not like everybody who's in the village wants to run away.
Yeah.
But anyway, today's conversation was just about Africa and the perspective. And the next video we're gonna shoot on Sunday is going to be about teaching her and running through her classes. The reason why we didn't do the Luganda lesson is because she did not watch the video she was supposed to watch.
Because I've actually been busy
She
at
has
work
been
this
busy at
week.
work, so I'm gonna give her a pass since on
Thank you.
Saturday she's working at the shop.
Yeah.
So she will have some time to watch and practice her Luganda on Sunday. We'll be shooting.
Yeah.
But guys, if you like the conversation, if you like us to talk about the difference between America's perspective of Africa and what Africa is, of course she would be talking about America. She's born here, she went to school here. Excuse me. She knows more about how people think. All I know about America is by experience, and of course I'm African, and I know everything about Africa. I've been blessed to
Oh, you know everything, huh?
most of the things. There's nothing that you're gonna say about Africa that I've not yet had. And I've also been blessed that I've been in every part of Africa, north, west, south, east.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to see globally, and physically to be there, so I can talk about Africa. I have every right to talk about Africa, so as you have every right to talk about America.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not gonna make this video any longer than this. Thank you guys. Please go subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can click the bell so that you can stay updated whenever we drop. Watch the videos. Subscribe. Let's get to 100K. With all those few words that I've said, peace.